Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
Truth, lies, shenanigans. 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 It's the TLS show, coming to you live from the TLS show. It's the TLS show, coming to you live from the TLS show.
Hey, welcome to Truth, Lies, Shenanigans, the live streaming podcast where your favorite hosts bring us the most interesting topics of the week to discuss and ask the question, is this truth, lies, or shenanigans? And of course, we always try to have fun with some shenanigans of our own along the way with amazing guests, games, and of course, spirited conversation. My name is Neil Nix, and today it's movie time. We have
Movie
award-winning
time!
writer, actor, producer, and director Chris Morrissey telling us about his career and the projects he's working on. Plus, Micah from Black on Black Cinema Podcast is back again to review with us
Big
movies,
Michael!
the movies Karen
Michael!
and Candyman. And in quick fire, we're talking about the Haitian migrants along the U.S. border, Gabby Petito and missing a white woman syndrome, and sexual harassment by the other Cuomo brother. As always, we'll end with Shenanigans, the game show. Don't forget, any topics that get so deep that we run out of time for, we'll discuss in our after show, which streams live exclusively in our TLS Fans Facebook group. You can sign up right now at tlsfans.com, or you can listen to the after show later in the week on Apple Podcasts or anywhere you listen to podcasts. Just go to tlspod.com to subscribe and get alerted. But before we get into our show, we've got a couple of new faces today, different faces. So let me introduce you to our hosts for the next hour. The professor, journalist, editor, and sports intern mentor at ESPN, Miss Lizzie Enders.
Whoop, whoop! What's
Hey,
up,
Lizzie.
everyone? Happy Sunday, fun day. Happy Sunday, fun day. I hope everyone is well, enjoying their Sunday. It's been a very difficult week for me. My allergies are like up here, so I may be coughing. Also, my cat was sick all week. And so I have been crying. I was crying for like 72 hours straight. But he's on the mend. You know, he's on antibiotics and he is now less lethargic. He's engaging. He's no longer limping.
That's
He has a kidney infection.
wow.
Yeah, I never thought that I would be crying a bucket of tears over a goddamn feline. Who knew? Who knew?
Oh,
But you know, y'all know, all of my friends and family know I love my boo boo Remy. So I'm happy that to tell you all that I'm in a better place. He's in a better place. So let's have a good show today.
wait, he's in a
Let's
better
have good
place.
show today.
Okay, well, yeah.
Well, not that better place.
Yeah, I was just like, wow.
Just making sure, you know?
He's in a, well, one, we don't know if the afterlife is a better place. So there's that. But
Can't argue with you.
here in Southwest Washington, D.C., he's doing much better. He's
Awesome.
doing much better.
All right. Our resident movie critic and host of the Black on Black Cinema and Nerdpocalypse podcast, a regular on our show now, the venerable Mr. Micah Payne.
Hey, everybody. Very happy to be here. Chelsea lost, and it looks like the Ravens are about to lose. So I'm very much looking
And
forward
Washington.
to. I'm very much looking forward to being here instead of sitting in front of my television.
I mean, if it makes you feel any better, them Washington football Anacostions are not winning anything either right now. So
I don't really care about them. So
it's losses
hey,
for the
hey,
DMV.
hey.
It's losses for the DMV.
All right. And a new face sitting in this week for Gianni Storm, we have a rookie host who recently joined the TLS team. So take it easy on her, guys. The college student and techie with an all around vibrant personality. It's Ellen Dahl.
Hello.
Ellen,
Here.
welcome. Excited?
At you live. Yes, coming at you live from actual quarantine because one of my roommates has COVID. You know, we're locked up in here, ready to discuss some topics through this
Ciao.
through this trying time.
Wow. Wow, quarantine, huh? That's gotta be tough. Well, good thing you got to watch
Yeah.
some movies this weekend. So.
I did.
Or maybe
The
not. Or maybe
Yeah,
not.
the selection. We'll get to that, I guess. Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, we have a rite of passage for our new guest host that we call the hot seat. All right.
Come on, Ellen.
Some
Come on, Ellen.
quick rapid fire questions. So our audience can get to know Ellen. Ellen, are you ready? All right.
I suppose so.
All right, let's get to it. Just say the first thing that comes to your mind. Movie food, popcorn, nachos, hot dogs, or candy?
Popcorn. Who thinks of hot
Popcorn.
dogs?
All right, traditional. All right.
Florida.
Real Housewives, Survivor, or The Bachelor?
Come on, Ellen.
I'm like any of them. The Bachelor, I guess.
The closest. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Biggie Smalls, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Doja Cat, or Justin Bieber?
RHCP.
Okay.
Wait, what? What did she say?
Red Hot Chili Peppers. Red Hot Chili Peppers. I'm saving time. It's quick fire.
She's saving time.
Biggie Smalls is the illest. Biggie Smalls is the illest.
All right. The Breakfast Club, The Avengers, Finding Nemo, or Pitch Perfect?
The Breakfast Club.
Breakfast Club. All right. All right. You have the power to instantly do one of these. You can end homelessness, end climate change, become a billionaire, or live forever but poor.
Climate change.
Climate change. All right. Would you prefer
Start
jail
from
for
the root.
5 years or coma for 10 years?
Oh my God. Jail for 5 years because it's harder for the family. Otherwise, I mean, it's harder for the family if I had a coma.
Okay. All
10
right.
years?
10 years is a long time.
Can't be asleep for 10 years.
I'd rather go to jail for
I'm
5.
not. I can't go to jail ever. Not even 5 minutes. Nope.
All right, last one, Ellen. Last one. Which would you rather do all day? Play sports, watch TV, play video games, eat, or hang out with friends?
Play video games.
Play video
There you
games.
go.
All right.
Yeah, that's the team.
You are
Alright.
off the hot seat, Ellen. All right, good job, Ellen. Good job. All right, you
We
did
gotta
really
use
good.
that hot. We gotta use that hot seat music more often. I like that.
I
You know-
like it.
Micah, have you been on the hot seat yet?
Uh-oh.
I think we forgot to put you on the hot seat.
Come on, brother. Come on, brother.
All right,
We're
we're gonna
on a
get you.
strict timetable.
We're gonna get you next. We got a packed show, so we'll get you next time. All right. All right, time to start the show. So let's get to our quick fire. This season, our hosts share a topic, but we only have 3 minutes to discuss and 1 minute for audience comments. So type your comments fast, guys. Let's do it. All right. Following another devastating earthquake, tens of thousands of Haitian migrants found their way to the U.S. border. But horrifying images of Border Patrol officers rounding up Haitians appeared reminiscent of slave catchers. So my question, are we taking this out of context like the Biden administration suggests, or are these tactics remnants of the slavery era? I'm going to start with Lizzie on this.
No, we're not taking it out of context. We can't take anything out of context that isn't being put forth to the public. This has been one of the most silent stories that I've seen in a long time, about immigrants, about deportation, about people or another country that is in peril. So no, we're not taking it out of context.
All right,
It is
Micah.
what it is, and I hate that phrase, but it is what it is.
Yeah. All right, Mike.
No, I don't think it's being taken out of context. It's racist. It's racism. I think that if you choose to be a border patrol person, like you want people who don't look like you to come in the country. And the fact that they're using the reins of the horse as a whip, I mean, like this is like a racist's wet dream, right? Like,
Yeah.
and that's all I can see in these images. Like that's what I see, just racist.
All right, Ellen.
Yeah, Micah, I feel the same way. I think that these were all choices. These, people who chose to become border patrol agents and then make the choice to go on horseback and then make the choice to crack whip. It's like, yeah, there's we're not taking it out of context. It's just the same thing in a different time frame.
Yeah.
So it's continuous. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a bit of both. I tried to think to myself, like, how would I deal with this issue? I'm president or whatever. I do want to help Haitians at the border, and I don't, but I also don't want tens of thousands of Haitians coming in, not just Haitians, but people coming in just all
Ooh,
willy nilly. Um,
ooh, your wife gonna get you.
I
Your
know,
wife
right?
gonna
Because
get you.
my wife is my wife is half Haitian. My wife, I know she's not half Haitian. She's Haitian. Her parents are both Haitian. Anyway, but but the point is, we gotta. I mean, we don't want it to happen, so I gotta stop them. I'm outnumbered, and I certainly can't shoot them, right? So I think the problem here is a lack of creative solutions, right? It's just a lack of creative solutions, right? And so they started reverting back to what they know, and what they know is what they've done in the past. It's whip, slavery, get some horses, run them down. That's what they've known, especially in Texas. So I think this is just a failure of imagination. I don't know that I have the answer, but greater minds than mine in America should have the answer.
I mean, if we think about it, given that there was a lot of civil unrest in Afghanistan after the United States started to pull out, and the government was imploring us to be compassionate for all of the Afghani immigrants that were going to come to the US as a
Hmm.
result. Why don't we get that same vibe with Haiti? And I posted in the chat, if you guys go to, our Facebook page and look to the live chat, I posted Biden's comments in 1994 on Haiti,
Yeah.
um,
All right.
in
So
which he,
let's get to these
yeah,
comments
so
online. Let's get to
mm.
these comments online real quick. So my wife is online and she clarified. She is Haitian, which I am aware of her Haitian. All right.
Mm,
So
mm, mm.
why are we surprised by this America? That's Olivia. Mike Winter says the issue is that they were all bringing food to their families. So why have that negative energy? Right. Exactly. I agree with that. Haitians, this is Jacqueline Robinson. Haitians have always been dehumanized. Fascinating that Afghanistan refugees were welcomed and the media
Mm.
fell all over themselves to whip up
Mhm.
sympathy for them, yet Haitians are treated like
That's
subhumans. Um,
that's my sister, y'all.
yeah.
We born and raised in the same house, so we on the same wavelength.
Mel
Same
Blaine
wavelength
says
here.
Biden needs to do more. And Olivia says Sleepy Joe will never get my vote again. He got Trump out, and that's all I needed him for. I like that one, actually.
Well, I mean, he might need your vote, Olivia, if Trump runs
to keep
again.
to keep Trump out.
Exactly. So never say never.
Never
Never
say
say
never.
never.
All right, is this truth, lies, or shenanigans? This is
Oh shit.
shenanigans. Shenanigans. Everybody's going shenanigans. Shenanigans across the board. All right. So let's get to our second quick fire question, and this is for you, Lizzie. You got 3 minutes. What's up?
Ooh, I know it's gonna hurt some feelings out here, but Chris Cuomo was in the news last week. So Chris Cuomo is an anchor and he has a show on CNN. He's also the brother of former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, who recently resigned back in August after it was revealed that he was involved in an ongoing scandal with several women, several former employees of his. So now in the New York Times this week, it dropped that one of Chris Cuomo's former bosses at ABC, she too is saying that one of the Cuomo brothers was inappropriate with her. She's saying that, at her going away party from ABC, I believe it was back in 2004, if I'm not mistaken, Chris Cuomo grabbed her on the ass at her going away party and said, now that you're no longer my boss, I could do this. Said it in front of her husband, and she pushed him away and said, no, you can't. Subsequent to that, he sent her an apology email. So he acknowledged that it happened. So there have been a lot of people out here saying, well, he apologized and it happened so long ago, so it's not really a big deal. My question to the panel is it a big deal?
Let's start with Ellen. Is it a big deal, Ellen?
I mean, absolutely, especially when you consider what the apology was. That's what I couldn't stop thinking about after I read this article. It was so insincere. He didn't even capitalize anything. He first apologized to the husband. Yeah. I think that, what was the subject line of the email, Lizzie? It was something like, now I feel bad, or something like that. It was like, after further consideration. But yeah, it was totally insincere. And for him to say, yeah, I apologize, it was clearly just to save face. So yes, it's a big deal.
Micah?
Yeah, it's a big deal. Look, I'm the type of person that believes that no one is irredeemable, but you gotta truly make amends, and you can't just go through the motions. And I feel like this is what he's doing, right? And I feel like we're just gonna get a lot of that nowadays, just like people going through the motions. Let's just tell these expletives here what they want to hear so I can get back to normal and the status quo. You got to make genuine amends, man. And while I do believe that no one is irredeemable, when you judge somebody, you got to judge everybody for everything, like positives and negatives. You know what I mean? And should he lose his job for it? I mean, I don't know if that's the question. Not necessarily. I don't think so. But yeah, you gotta change, man. And you can't keep getting passes, right? And I don't know. I don't know how many passes this dude's had, but
this is the second. This is the second pass. This is the second because he got a pass on his inappropriate commentary and behavior in regards to his brother. So this is the second pass.
All right.
Leo?
All right. Well, we're out of time, but I'm just going to say that if it had been my wife, I don't know if he had a broken jaw. Just saying.
Yeah, he wouldn't have been.
I'll just leave it at that. I got more to say, but I'm gonna just leave it at that because we're out of time. He would have had a broken jaw.
Take it to the after show.
All right. All right, we are gonna take it to the after. All right. Let's get to our third quick fire. Ellen. Yeah, get some water real quick, Ellen. All right.
Yeah.
I'm with it, Ellen.
All right, Ellen, let's get into it. You got 3 minutes, Ellen. What's going on?
Okay, so by now we've probably all heard of Gabby Petito, whether or not you want to. She was a 22-year-old white woman who went missing in late August on a road trip with her boyfriend. She garnered a massive amount of attention from news outlets as well as from social media. And this level of attention raised some eyebrows because people discussed the lack of coverage of missing person cases involving Black, Latino, and Indigenous people. So this brought people to discuss something called missing white woman syndrome, which refers to the disproportionate media coverage of missing person cases involving white women compared to the relative lack of attention towards missing person cases involving non-white people. So my question to you guys is, can the general public alone mitigate white woman syndrome, or is that an impossible task without drastic changes to the newsrooms that cover these cases?
All right. Let me jump in first here. So,
yeah, sure.
I was listening to a criminologist on one of the local radio stations, and he was talking about how these images. He was explaining how we got to white woman syndrome, and we have these images of saving the damsel in distress, who's always a young white girl, prevalent in all our books, stories, movies from our childhood. You think of Snow White, Rapunzel, Beauty and the Beast, Alice in Wonderland, all these damsels, white damsels in distress, and that's where it kind of comes from. So the infatuation's kind of like programmed in our minds from our youth. But it goes back to why the problem with Black Lives Matter. I mean, the issue of Black Lives Matter is, we've been trained that Black lives aren't important. It's the white damsels in distress that are what's important. So I don't know. Honestly have a lot more to say, but as far as the newsrooms, they absolutely have to take the lead on this. Absolutely have to take the lead on this. Micah?
The general public already does try to take the lead on these things. Every missing person of color that I've ever seen is always on Facebook. It's never on the
Mm,
news unless it's a high
mm,
profile person. And not even then, because
mm.
like Kelly Price was missing for a few days and nobody gave a damn. She's found, by the way. Look,
Allegedly. Allegedly.
allegedly, I have expanded thoughts on this on the latest preview episode of Black on Black Cinema, where you can hear us talk about missing white woman syndrome for about 45 minutes. But yeah, it's a problem that needs to be corrected through institutions.
All right. Lizzie?
One of the things that pissed me off over the past couple of weeks about this particular topic, and again, I feel for Gabby's family. I hate that, she was murdered, that we actually saw her demise play out. But one of the things that pissed me off is that people were making excuses for why white women syndrome is a thing, saying, well, the reason why her story was out there was because she was a video influencer and it was totally different. She had a social media presence which other persons of color don't have, and that's bullshit because this isn't a new issue. This has been going on for decades.
Yeah.
For decades, to the point where there's a Law and Order episode about white women syndrome as it relates to people going missing. There's a Criminal Minds episode where there
Right.
were two young girls,
Right at
one
time.
white, one black. And so this is reflective of what our culture is like here in America. This isn't anything new.
Yep.
Isn't
Let's get to
anything new.
let's get to these comments real quick. Ellen, we can talk about it more. I actually want to talk about this in the after show. So
Okay, great.
actually, you know what? I missed the comments from earlier, so I want to go back and say it's a big deal. Cuomo, Mel Blaine said it's a big deal. He disrespected her, treated her like an object. Fire him. Jacqueline Robinson said, I'm shocked that Chris was still able to walk. Most husbands would have caught a case for whooping his ass. Um,
There you go.
and Mel Blaine says, if someone grabs my ass at work, I'm going to HR and make a huge deal. Jacqueline Robinson talks about white woman syndrome, and late Glenn Eiffel called out the white woman syndrome years ago. Decision needs not only start with law enforcement and newsrooms. Olivia says, I wish we didn't have to use real life missing or murder people to explain the syndrome, because I mean, this poor girl is actually still missing. And then Mike Winter says, the Kelly Price situation pissed me off. All right, let's get to Truth Lies Shenanigans on Cuomo.
I mean, this dude is full of shenanigans. Get out of here. Get out of here. His whole family is a big Italian
Shenanigans.
stereotype.
All right.
Yeah, they are, and they make us look really bad.
Make us.
I really hate it. It's like, no, it's okay. We're from a big Italian family. I'm like, don't say that.
And Gabby Petito and white woman syndrome.
Yeah.
Going with truth.
You know what? It's where's
Truth.
my truth? Where's my
Ellen's
truth?
got truth.
Truth.
Micah's got truth.
Truth.
Lizzie's got
Truth.
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 Okay.
Only in the last week have a lot of persons of color missing situations have been put on the news nationally. Only within the last week because this shit has been called out. So it's
Right.
true. True.
All right. Great job, guys. Good quick fire. Now it's time to bring in our guest. Today's spotlight is on Chris Morrissey. Hey, Chris,
What's
welcome
up,
to the show. How are you?
Hey,
Hello.
hey everybody, how are you?
Good to have you. So
Thank you. Glad to be here.
awesome. All right, let me tell you a little bit about Chris Morrissey. He is a Hollywood filmmaker and actor that has written, produced, and directed several award-winning feature films, including Superstar Female Serial Killer, Trick of the Witch, and Lip Gloss Explosion. Chris has acted in several independent films, television projects, including Twin Peaks. He's a native of Los Angeles and currently is producing two new feature films, uh, which will begin actually production later this year. He also curates and hosts a monthly Los Angeles theatrical film screening series. All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Chris.
Glad to be here.
I know, Chris, I'd like to give you an opportunity to share more about yourself, and I ask that you include something that we can't Google about
Well, I pretty much do everything pertaining to Hollywood. I'm kind of a jack of all trades. I write, I curate, direct. I even like edit and do music, and I have my hand in like so many different things just because you know it's never boring. I'm always like you know interested in just creating and nurturing any kind of ideas that I come up with, and I'm so connected to you know being an artist in Hollywood and just seeing things through. I just try to just dig deep and utilize any ideas that I come up with.
you.
Just
Wonderful.
keep doing.
So what can we get? Anything we can't Google about you?
Well, okay. Are you familiar with the Cinerama Dome theater in Hollywood?
I'm not.
Okay, well, it's a very old. It's like one of the first big giant movie screens in Hollywood, like right on Sunset Boulevard. Um, so my mom and dad met while working there.
Oh,
So
wow.
they met, got married, and had me, and it's this big, movie theater. So like I grew up in the theater, always going and watching movies. But um, I always call it because it looks like a big egg. I always say it's like the egg that I hatched out of.
I love that.
All right. I actually want to start with our movie critic, Micah. So, Micah, did you have any questions for Chris?
Yeah, so I watched the trailer for Trick of the Witch, and I'm getting kind of like some Roger Corman, John Waters vibes from it. Who are your directorial inspiration?
Well, funny enough, Roger Corman, I used to work for him.
Oh,
Oh
When I
wow. Okay.
early on started, yeah, I was looking, to just break into any studio out here in LA. And I had called them up one day and I was just like, do you have any job openings? And the woman on the phone was like, well, have you ever been a receptionist before? And I was like, no, but I can answer phones. She's like, come in tomorrow because you're going to start. And I was like, huh? Like I got hired? What are you talking about? So I literally walked in there. They sat me in the front desk, and there's this like crazy phone system that I had no idea, how to use all the different buttons and stuff. And they were just like, yeah, just answer the phone. I was like, okay. And then of course Roger Corman comes in, and he's in the office behind me, and they're having like this big production meeting, and I'm sitting there eavesdropping, and I'm just like, it's so surreal. I like one day, I'm just suddenly like the receptionist for his studio. So I was there for a
Nice.
little while, and then I moved
Nice.
over to Interview Magazine. So, but yeah, I love
Talk
Roger
about
Corman. He's like
networking.
huge inspiration.
Talk about networking. Talk
All right.
about networking. Good stuff.
Lizzie, question?
So my question is,
Yeah, a
in
lot of
terms
the
of, I
things.
have several.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Chris.
And I was just saying, a lot of the things that I've kind of ended up doing have always been like weird coincidences. Like I was just in the right place at the right time. But I knew those weren't just luck. I had to like utilize, okay, this is a great opportunity. Don't screw it up. Just learn what you have to learn and just go with it.
Wonderful.
So I think, Chris, like even when we have our movie time segments, I think it becomes apparent that we have various different genres of cinema and film that we like and appreciate. Do you have one? Like, in a perfect world where you could decide, would there be one particular genre that you would love to work on and produce and write for consistently?
Well, I love something that's offbeat. I do like horror films because they're very entertaining and easy to make. And there's always
Yes,
an audience
yes,
for them.
yes.
I mean, anytime you have a script, you could write a comedy or drama, but if you are pitching it and somebody doesn't like it, throw in a killer, throw in like, somebody disappears and you'll probably get the financing. But personally, I love thrillers and suspense and crazy offbeat comedy and, but always horror. I could watch all the time. I'm like a big horror
Yes,
movie
love
buff.
it. Love it. I watch killer shows every day. So, yes, love it.
Jose's online says she loves horror films. Here's a
Yes.
question online for you. Says Chris, what are the big key elements you have to tell a compelling story? What are the elements to telling a compelling story?
Well, I would say first and foremost, let it be something you're very passionate about, like a story that really is you're connected to. And because anytime you're writing a script or you're gonna like I write, direct, and produce everything that I make. So I'm like stuck with it for 2 years. And even after when the film's ready to come out and I'm promoting it and stuff, it's like I'm living with the storylines, I'm living with the characters. So you have to be super passionate and
Sorry about that. Please
have
continue.
like a deep connection with all these
Please
with the
continue.
story. So yeah, be passionate, tell a story that's different, because so many writers tend to like just remake films we've all seen before. And for me as an audience member, I love to see things that are just unique. And I'll be in a theater and I'm just like, wow, where's the story going? Like this is totally there's all these twists and things I wasn't expecting. And those are the movies that you think about days or two later, and they just stay with you. And you're like, wow, that was a really great film. I want to see it again. I want to like analyze it and you know go through it.
Awesome. Ellen, what's your question?
Yeah, I was wondering how COVID affected your inspiration or workflow. I mean, directing is not a solo activity, right? That's a group activity. So not being able to work at times, what has that done for you as a director?
Well, here's the thing. Right before COVID struck, like the beginning of 2000, 2000. Wait, I'm so confused.
2020.
We all are.
2020.
We all are.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
lost track of time. I can't even believe it's almost
Yeah.
2
I know.
years since the
Neither
pandemic
can I.
Yeah,
started.
we all are.
It's almost 2 years now.
Yeah, I said the other day to someone, I'm like, it's 2023, and they're like, no, it's 2021. I'm like,
Oh
wait a
my
minute, I'm
gosh.
like thrown off. No, but the beginning of 2020, I was like, okay, I've like 4 projects that I was just about to start, kind of trying to figure out which one I was going to focus on the most, and everybody was like, it just got really busy for me, and it was so great. But then I was never I never had time to like really focus on one project or focus on the things were just getting out of hand. So when COVID hit,
Mhm.
I literally was just stuck stuck at home, and I'm like,
Mhm.
now I have all this time that I told people I never had time for. So I really
Mhm.
should focus on these and focus on the writing, focus on the scripts. And then also because you got to think, are we going to be able to film the same way with like large groups? Are we going to have like extras? That stuff's like
Right.
now kind of thrown out the window. So I really had to, as a
Huh.
writer, like try to scale down how many characters are going to be in certain scenes. Can I
Wow.
just use one location? You got to really think outside
Interesting.
the box though. In even if your COVID wasn't around, like there's always problems that you run into. So as a
Mhm.
director, you have to be kind of like a problem solver and puzzle, putting puzzles together because you're always coming up with
Mhm.
plan B, plan C,
Yeah.
So I love that part. I think
Very
that's
quick,
why I like it. Sorry.
very quickly. I just want to piggyback off of something you just mentioned previous to Ellen's comment. What do you think about remakes? Because Hollywood over the
Hmm.
past,
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
say, decade
Very
has been
remake
like
heavy.
void, remake heavy, right, Neo?
Hmm.
Void of original ideas. Like we even have on ABC right now a remake of The Wonder Years, which okay for Black folks, it's an all Black cast, but I'm just like, mm, did it really have to be, titled The Wonder Years? Like, couldn't we come up with a new idea? So, as a producer, director, writer, what do you think about remakes?
If the original film is amazing and it's like a classic, and like you're not going to be able to expand upon it in any way, I would just leave it alone. And if you want to do instead of a remake, I feel like people should do like more of like a tribute to something. Like take
Oh, I like
maybe
that.
the
Mm,
concept
mm.
and then but put your own spin on it. Because the thing I hate, like an example is Dawn of the Dead. You have the original one from the 70s, and that's like a classic you can't touch. And then they remade the one in 2004, which was good. It was decent, but I wish they didn't call it Dawn of the Dead. I wish it would have just been like
Right,
its own film.
right.
But
Yeah.
people say to me like, "Oh, what are some films that you like?" And I'll say Dawn of the Dead, and they think I'm talking about the one from 2004. And I'm like, "No, I'm talking about the other one." So that's why I feel like, say Candyman. Um, yeah, I haven't seen
Oh,
it yet, but
oh,
I'm like,
oh,
people have so many people are fans
don't
of
rush.
the original,
Don't rush.
and then this new generation probably didn't even know that there was another Candyman. So they're looking at this new one as like, this is the Candyman. So I feel like they should kind of, give it a little bit something to show that it's like its own thing.
Yeah, agreed. So my
Agree,
question,
agree.
social issues have always been part of filmmaking, but in this post-Trump era, I've been noticing that social and political issues have been showing up even more across multiple different genres. And genres that you wouldn't expect, like for example, horror, action films, and even animated films. So are you seeing that as well? And why is that happening?
Um, I think, well, I know the studios are very like, it's all about money to them. And, anytime anything kind of political arises, they feel like they just have to, okay, well, we need to do this. I mean, you could write a script and it be perfect, but if the suits in the room feel that they need to add this or that or do something, they're going to do that regardless of whatever creative things that you had and really had in your script that you had in your heart that you really wanted to put out there. Um, I mean, in some way, I guess it's a bit about being genuine. I feel like if the writer or the director or the production company really stands behind whatever they're um, trying to create and put out there, let it be genuine. Don't let it be like forced, like where the studio's like, well, we have to do this, we have to do that, because then you can tell that it's not, real.
Yeah. All right. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but I wanted to give you a minute to kind of talk about the projects that you're working on now. And of course, any shout outs that you have for anyone.
Well, as you had said in the intro, I wrote some scripts in quarantine that I really am excited about. So I'm gonna, start working on whichever one I can do first based on like, how safe it is with
Of course.
COVID.
Yeah, of course.
Um, so hopefully by the end of November, I should know if we're gonna start, working on it for the beginning of the year. But in the meantime, all of my older films are being like remastered and ready for streaming, and because they've all played in theaters. All of my films, bless you, all of my films have played in theaters and film festivals and everything. So now I'm just like putting them out there because I really love films to be seen in a theater. So during the quarantine, I actually released one of my films, Trick of the Witch, onto YouTube
Mm,
just to give it a bigger audience. But we're going to do a drive-in double feature of Trick of the Witch and Heavy Makeup, which is going to be uh, towards Halloween. And then also in the beginning of the new year, we're going to do like a tour of different LA theaters and drive-ins and then expand it. It's all because of COVID. We just have to like kind of
of
play it
course.
by ear and
Yeah, you got to
do
do
like
what you got to do. Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. All right.
But
Any
I'm
shout
very
outs?
excited because I have a lot of cool Shout out just, to all the any artists out there that are writing and coming up with new ideas. Just keep doing it, just take chances, do things, off the beaten path. And if you don't let anybody tell you like your idea isn't worthy of being a big film out there. So just work on everything that you have in your heart and gut and creativity and just get it going. Let's see new talent out there, new artists.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to again thank you for joining us. Feel free to jump on those comments online. There's a bunch of questions for you online. So feel free to check
Oh,
those
okay.
out. So, but yeah, we really
Yeah,
do
thank
thank
you.
you for joining us.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me, and I'm really enjoying the show.
All right. Thank you. All right. We wish you the best, Chris. Thank you.
All right, thank you too.
All right. Yeah.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
All right. This was pretty good, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
very much
always
so.
Mhm.
it's always good to hear inside industry perspective. So I
Yeah.
think he was good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, before we get into movie time, I need to remind you that this is the last week to get 20% off of Logicz streetwear and apparel. Owner of Logicz, JT, was on the show a few months back, and we've gotten a lot of great reviews on his clothing. So, for quality, designer feel, and a trendy look, visit Logicz at We Are Logicz, LOGICZ.com, and you'll receive 20% off when you use promo code TLS Live. All right, let's get into movie time with Micah. What you been waiting for?
Yeah.
All
I gotta bring
right,
some
Okay.
Micah,
popcorn
I am
next time.
turning things over to you.
So where to begin? Let's start with let's start with Karen because
Yeah, let's start
you
with that.
know,
Yeah, I
Karen.
agree.
I say this with no hyperbole whatsoever. Karen is the worst movie
Mm,
I've ever seen in my entire life.
mm,
The worst you've ever
Um,
seen? I've seen worse.
Wow.
yeah, I
mm,
cannot think of a worse movie. I cannot think of a worse
mm,
movie. It's certainly the worst
mm,
movie I've seen all year, and I've
mm.
Oh,
seen Beckett.
Mm.
So it's not a good film. I think it was I don't even mind the concept, right? Like there's a germ of a good idea in the concept of this psycho woman, right? And using these social issues to try and create a thriller,
hmm
but everything about it is executed poorly.
horribly.
Um, yeah, I have expanded thoughts on black cinema. We did an episode all about Karen. I really hated that
Really?
movie. Um, I hated
Y'all
I
did a
Wow.
whole
hated
episode.
Karen.
Y'all did a whole episode about Karen?
We thought it because we thought it was going to be like a fun bad movie, and it's just a bad
It's just a
movie.
bad
I
movie.
hate it.
It's not even
I
fun.
hate
I
it.
just I
It's
just
not even
can't
fun.
think of doing. I just can't imagine doing a whole episode about it. Like
Well, because we
I'm gonna
talked
be like,
about we, we talked about like actual Karens, right, and the real life implications, and how this just feels exploitive of real world situations. Yeah, we did a full episode on it. You can go there if you want to hear my expanded thoughts. But let's go to Ellen.
Yeah.
What do you think about this movie?
Okay, first of all, I have to say my expectations were high somewhat for the lead because Taryn Manning
Okay, all right.
played a great racist on Orange is the New Black. And I was like, maybe she'll bring that weird energy to this movie. And she didn't. The script was terrible, the acting was really bad. I think making a Karen basically the villain in the movie made it so that other people who are actually like racist Karens can look at her and be like, oh, well, I'm nothing like that. It's crazy.
That's a good
But
point.
it didn't catch
Right.
it angered me because it didn't catch the subtlety of Karenness, which is what it is, basically,
Good
until
point.
it like explodes into something bigger. But I do have to say, my least favorite part of the movie was when it was so weird. The main character was like, honey, did you make anything for dinner? And she was like, no, I didn't. And he was like, oh, it's okay, I'll just have this apple. And I was like, what? You're just
It's just
gonna have an apple?
random
And
social
that's
issue thrown in there, right?
I was like, I guess so. So that's when I gave up on the movie. But yeah, I don't know what the target audience was. I don't know what it was supposed to do, but I think
Uh,
It was bad in every
You
facet.
gave up a little bit earlier than I did. I mean, it was horrible from the start, but I think I gave up when they tried to when he was outside his house and they were playing basketball with the little kid, the son, and then she's like, "Hey, can you come over here and help me with my antifreeze?" And he spilled some antifreeze, and he's like, "Okay, I need to clean my hands." And she's like, "Come inside and clean your hands." He's like, "Well, no, I'm okay, I'm good." And he's like, "No, come on inside. It's right there." I'm thinking to myself, his house, his own house is
yeah,
right
his house is right
next
there.
door.
They're neighbors.
Why
Yeah.
do I need to walk into your house to wash my hands? Go into my house and wash
Didn't
my
make any
hands.
sense.
I mean, now I get
He's
that
like, well, I guess I do.
what they were trying to do was create a reason for him to go into the house, right? Because they wanted him to see the racist stuff on the wall and the little Confederate flag, and then see the where the cameras were pointing and all that stuff. But I mean, come on. I mean, a 12-year-old could come up with a better reason to go into the house than I spilled something on my hand. I mean, he could the son could have fallen over and hurt himself, and that'd be a perfect reason for him to have to go in and help him into the house. I mean, shoot, I could come up with stuff off the fly right now.
Done.
That's better
Yeah.
than what this movie came up with. I mean, it was that bad. I mean, just the writing, it was a very thoughtless movie. It's like they really didn't even try. It's not they didn't really didn't
They
even
did
try.
a they did a you people. Why don't you people go back to Africa? Like, all right, yo, like this is the most heavy-handed. And look, the next movie we're talking about is done a little better, but it's still heavy-handed. But this is like hit you with a sledgehammer heavy.
It was
And I can't.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, all of you listening, we're about to throw it to the person that you really want to hear from. Liz, what did you think about this movie?
So, Micah is alluding to our back and forth because Micah maintains that whatever movie that he suggests that we talk about, I hate.
I
Micah,
did not suggest this movie, by the way.
I was gonna say, who the
it
fuck
was not him.
suggested this movie?
It was not him. It was
Who
not him.
suggested this movie?
I picked these movies, so let's go with it.
Why? Why?
Yeah, what did you?
Full disclosure, I stopped after the first 30 minutes. I did not finish this movie.
It's hard to
I
finish.
could not.
It only gets
It
worse.
was
It only gets
It-
worse.
it- See, yeah.
it was that bad.
It was-
But did anyone else feel like it was an SNL script?
Not
Like,
even. I've seen better
no,
SNL
but
scripts.
I thought it was like comedy. There was a comedic factor. Like
It was
I'm
caricature.
watching exactly. I'm watching. I'm like,
even
this
that was
can't
horribly
be a real
done.
movie. This can't be a real movie.
I think it would have
All
been
of
better
the
if it was like that, actually.
all of the stereotypes and characters and real world issues were mocked and elevated to the point where I was just like, this can't be the idea for a real movie. I think again, early on, I was like, okay, this is stupid. This is dumb. The acting was poor. The writing was poor. There was no real plot. There was no real script. But I think early on, and I thought you were referencing this, Neo, when you said there was a moment where um, the maid Karen was talking to the husband. The husband, by the way, is Tia Mar. Remember Sister Sister?
Mhm.
Y'all remember?
Yeah.
So the husband, Corey, that's her husband. So it's obvious. He trying to get some work on the side
Oh.
because this is not a good role for
He,
him.
he,
Fair.
need-
But
he wasn't hard.
when
He wasn't the
she's
worst actor I've ever seen. He wasn't a good actor.
I'm not talking about his acting. I'm talking about script selection. Like this was horrible. But initially, when he was sitting in the car in the driveway, and she came over and was speaking to him and engaged him, and she asked him. So I just want to know, like, what made y'all want to move into this neighborhood? All white neighborhood. Black. I'm like, okay, he didn't cuss her out. Like, what are you talking about?
No one in
I
this
just
movie speaks like a normal person, right? Like even
no.
in the situations where it's between the black couple, like there's one where
And that's really was
it
the
really
bottom.
annoyed me. It really annoyed me because he was like, "Oh, you my strong black queen who's
Yeah.
highly educated and college graduate, and it's like, yo, this is a terrible way to distribute exposition, man. Like, I don't go to my wife and say, "Oh, you a strong black queen
Exactly.
from Howard, got
That's
your
not how
JD from Howard, and you went to FSU and you did this, and you did like who
That's
talks
not
like
how we
that? Come on, man."
That's not how we speak. That's not how we interact amongst ourselves. But even when we are faced with adversity, like I just could not get on board with this. And I agree with Micah. Probably one of the worst movies I've ever seen. And I kept saying, I can't wait till Sunday because I'm gonna get in somebody's ass about making me waste time to
So Mike
watch this
went.
bullshit.
We're out of time on this one, but Mike Winter says, without asking, I knew Neo picked this mess. All right, Micah. Let's get to the next one, Micah.
Horrible.
All right, next up is the 2021 version of Candyman, directed by Nia DaCosta, produced by Jordan Peele and his Monkey Paw Productions. This is going to be the next film that we review on Black Cinema. We are this coming Wednesday. So you'll get my expanded thoughts on that. Quickly, I didn't hate this movie, but there are problems with it. One, I do like the idea of expanding this mythology. I like the idea that Candyman is a metaphor for Black pain manifested into a being that will, I guess, murder people, but like you should probably be murdering like people who did things that are wrong to other Black people, not just 5 random girls in a bathroom. Like that's weird. But and I like the cinematography. The cinematography is a beautiful looking.
There is some good cinematography.
Yes.
It is.
But
It is.
but it does have and strong performances, particularly from Yahya Abdul-Mateen and Tiana Paris. But it does have some like wonkiness with the script. It doesn't follow its own rules, which, you know, in a movie like this, you got to follow your rules, right? Like if you summon Candyman by saying his name 5 times,
You should be
like,
dead.
you got to say it. You got to say it. You can't break it up. You can't be like, Candyman. Oh yeah, so about that Ravens pulling out the victory today, Candyman. And I'm not gonna say that last one because, you know, I'm kind of
I'll say it.
superstitious.
Oh, did you just say it 5 times? I think I just heard you say
I
it.
said it 4 times. I said it 4 times. And
I'll
guess
say
what?
it.
The
I'll
next
say
person
it.
that says it, you're gonna die.
According to
I'll
their
say it.
rules.
I'll say it. I dare that motherfucker to come up in here.
I bet you would want Yahya's do. I bet you would want Yahya Abdul-Mateen to come up in that house. But it's okay. It's better than the sum of it. Or it's the pieces are really good, but the movie overall is not great. And I was expecting great, and I just got pretty good.
Latoya Blakely says, nope. I watched the 90s version once, nearly knocked out one of my male friends who thought it would be funny to try to. Oh, I lost.
Listen. Y'all, I sleep with a butcher knife underneath my pillow. Like, Candyman can bring it if he wants to. He don't want none of this smoke. He don't want none of this smoke. Okay?
What are your
male friends who
thoughts
thought it'd be
about
funny, hard, so to try to lock me in a bathroom and call on his creepy ass. I will go nowhere near this craziness. That's what she. All right, it got cut off for me, but I see the rest of it.
Micah,
Liz, what did
I
you think
agree
of
with
this
you.
movie?
I agree with you. I was very disappointed because I had high expectations because all of the pre-release chatter about this or reviews about this movie talked about how they incorporated the racial and political aspect to it. So I was expecting it to take a completely different angle. And what I got was a movie that was so disjointed. Like I didn't know what the story was supposed to be. Like in one moment, you know, you're talking about the horror portion, and then all of a sudden it switches to something else. Like it didn't
Gentrification.
flow. It was not connected. I think, you know, it could have been a lot more than what it was.
It could have
I
been.
didn't feel like I didn't feel like it was a horror movie. It wasn't suspenseful.
Yep.
I was not scared at any point in time. Um, I do think that the cinematography was great. I
There were some good scenes.
appreciated, a
Mhm.
predominantly Black cast. I love that. But I think it missed the mark. Like, oh my God, Jordan Peele finally like got a big fat balloon
Yeah. Ellen?
because whew,
Yeah, I mean, my expectations were actually low coming in because to me, there's nothing more hit or miss than comedies and horrors. So I just go in thinking that it's going to suck. Um, but I like you guys have been saying, I loved the cinematography. I loved the silhouette, the way of like
Mm-hmm.
telling old stories in that
The
way.
shadow puppets. Yep.
Um,
but
yeah,
they
the shadow
kind of
puppet.
stopped. It wasn't
They did
consistent. Like
stop.
you got a lot. Yeah, you got a lot of that in the beginning, and then you didn't see it anymore. It like faded out.
Yeah, right. Um, and I think what I was most disappointed by is I really appreciate because this was produced by Jordan Peele. I know he didn't write it, but he really trusts his audience with an ambiguous ending or ambiguous meaning in it, like for themes for the movie. And everything was so it was heavy-handed, like Micah was saying. It was like the audience wasn't trusted to figure stuff out on our own, so they
Mm-hmm.
had to be very very blatant with the political messages, which I was surprised because Jordan Peele was on there. I was hoping that the audience would be trusted to take a message from it that wasn't explicitly said.
Yeah.
Do
I
you
don't know.
think even the political messages were kind of empty?
Yeah.
I
That,
feel like
that's a
I
good
feel like
word.
I got like I feel like I got like a smidgen, like they threw
They
something on the
tried to.
table
Yeah. They tried to cover
and
it.
and and left it there, and it's just like, okay, are we not going to explore this? Like you gave it to me, so what is it exactly that you're saying about this message,
With
Nia?
the Jordan Peele movies in the past, I'm like you. I would be looking for all of those underlying social issues and their social commentary that they're trying to make. But
Right.
Candyman felt really short for me. I mean, I definitely prefer the original, um, which has impressively stayed relevant. Um, but I think they tried too hard to make these social commentaries, and like Lizzie says, it just was all over the place. I mean, you
Yeah.
really couldn't tell where it was going, and then it, like you said, it wasn't funny, it wasn't scary at all. Whereas Candyman, I had dreams about Candyman.
I was just gonna ask, were any of you
Yeah.
scared? Were
Not
any
at
of you
all.
scared?
No,
Not scary
not at
at
No,
all.
all.
this felt more like a thriller than
Not
a horror
even.
movie.
I mean, I was more scared
Um,
from Get
you
Out
know,
and his other movies, to be honest. And
Yeah.
those weren't scary movies. Um,
It's
but I
I
did
had
like the
I
way they
have
tied, like Ellen said, I like the way they tied back into the original original movie using those shadow puppets. I thought that was good. So there were some good things. There were good acting performances. Um, but
yeah.
again, for everything that was good, there were so many bad things. Like, okay, Micah, can you explain how his hand got infected
ah
and
ah
he doesn't consider
ah
going to the
go
doctor
to the hospital. I was
until
like,
his
bro,
fingernails are
I can
falling
explain
off?
that.
no,
I can explain that. I can
ah,
And
explain
then
that. It's
wait a
because
minute,
it's
wait a minute,
because
wait a
he's
minute.
a black man. That's why.
And
And
then
black dudes don't go to the doctor. That's
whatever.
all that
And then,
is.
okay,
and then not a
let me
single,
say
not
this.
one person, not one of his friends suggested that he go to the doctor. Not a
So
single
let me
Yeah,
one.
just
not
say
his
this.
girlfriend.
Let me just say this as a black woman. You crawl into my bed with some burned, nasty hand. We not doing this. We not doing this. Like, what is that? You not touching me with that hand. I
And
can
then
touch with that
wait,
hand.
wait,
Excuse
wait.
He's
me.
not gonna say anything about this. That's
And then
gross.
at the end, that cop who was in the car with her, right? And so at the end, the cop is in the car. His whole unit just got killed by some dead guy out the blue. He's sitting in the car in the driver's seat, and not once does he consider driving off. He sits there waiting for Candyman. Not only does that, once Candyman kind of like walks away, he decides to go run out of his car, get out of the car, and go running off somewhere. Who does
What
that?
did you
Yeah,
guys?
it's
so
like
So I will,
What
I
did
will, I will paraphrase. I will paraphrase Alfred Hitchcock, who said the reason people don't call the police in horror movies is because that's not interesting, right? Like, so that's the director's excuse for
listen,
why
y'all.
common sense things don't happen.
Yeah.
I don't
Listen,
have an
y'all.
issue
Listen,
with that scene. With I do have like logic issues. A
a
lot. There's a
lot.
lot of
There's a
logic
lot of
problems with
logic
the movie.
issues.
And it sounds silly coming from something called Candyman about a black like
Well, I
ghost
mean,
man coming,
you even said they
but yeah,
don't
there's
follow
a
their
lot of
own
logic
rules. They
problems.
set rules and they don't
They don't
follow their
follow their
own
own
rules.
rules. Yeah, and that's my biggest
Right.
problem. If you're gonna set rules, like you gotta follow them. Otherwise, what's
I mean, that's when I remember having an argument way back with someone who was like saying, I was talking about like superhero movies, right? Or like Walking Dead or any of those like supernatural type movies. And they were like, well, it's not real anyway, so it doesn't even matter. I'm like, what are you talking about? You create rules, you set rules in a movie at the beginning of the
right?
movie, you explain how time works, you explain how, and then so you start, once you understand those rules, then you can follow the movie and it starts to make sense and you can add some realism to it. But like you say, if
Yeah.
you mess that up and you're
Right.
not following,
Right.
then
Yeah.
it just destroys all the logic for me. I can't watch movies like
They also had
Also, too,
one
I just
rule,
think. Go ahead, Ellen.
right? There was only one rule to follow, and that was for Candyman to consistently come after being called 5 times. And then they didn't. Yeah, they had one rule to
that.
follow.
And he should have killed his
Go ahead.
girlfriend as soon as
But
she
also,
called for
too,
Yeah.
Candyman.
Also,
Oh
too,
my
even
god.
the relationship between those two, I'm like, this isn't believable. Like, listen, you only gonna
Yeah.
be in my house living off of me with no job, earning no money for a small amount of time. Then you start acting weird and you have like this melted hand and you're making all
Painted
these crazy
demons.
paintings and you're inviting Candyman and all of that witchery and witchcraft. And no, a real woman, whether she's black, white, blue, or purple, would have kicked his ass out a long time ago. And I think this is a part
Yeah,
of
he would have
like
been gone.
production and directorial vision to believe that she was still in it. Like they gave hints of it. This movie needed a sex scene to make us believe why
Interesting.
she was still involved. Because I kept looking at her like, well, what is he giving you, girl?
Mm,
Because I don't see the connection here.
mm.
So maybe he
Well,
hanging and swinging, but you gotta let me
yeah.
see something.
Yeah.
Right, right.
And there's the root of your
Fucking
issue.
hanging and
There's the
swinging.
root of your issue. You just want to look at Yahya Abdul Mateen's Yahya Abdul Mateen.
All right. Unfortunately, we are out of time for movie time. This was a fun
Good
conversation,
one,
though.
Micah. Good one, Micah. Good one.
Micah, you're a fool, but yeah. All right, let's get into our game show. All right, so when we have Micah here, we gotta do some movie trivia. Today's game, we're playing the app Movie Quiz. I will read random trivia questions from the app, and if you answer correctly, you get a point. Person with the most points wins. So let's get started.
Oh, Lord.
We're
You
starting
ready,
with
Ellen? You ready?
we're starting with Lizzie.
Yeah.
All right, what's Kevin's surname in Home Alone? Is it McAllister, McCoolister, or McDouglas? Lizzie.
A McAllister.
A. McAllister. That is correct. All right. What instrument does Edward, this is for Micah, what instrument does Edward Lewis play in Pretty Woman? Is it piano,
Come on,
guitar,
y'all.
or violin?
I've never seen Pretty Woman, guys.
What?
Piano.
Piano,
I've
let's
never
see.
seen Pretty Woman.
Oh,
guys.
That's a
Your
good
guessed
guess, but I haven't
correctly.
seen it.
All
That's a
right.
good guess.
All right, Ellen. In the 1984 movie The Terminator, what year is the Terminator sent from? Is it 2029, 2020, or the year 2000?
I think it's 2029.
Let's see. That is correct. Right. Points all around. Lizzie, when did Mickey Mouse first appear? 1948, 1928, or 1968?
I'm gonna say 48.
See, that is incorrect.
Is it
Probably
28?
Oh, do I get the answer?
1928 is the correct
Old.
answer.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, like my dad. Oh, like my dad.
All right, Micah. In The Little Mermaid, who convinces Ariel to visit Ursula the Sea Witch?
You have a great
Yo.
role. Come on, Micah. Come on, Micah. Come on,
Nah,
Micah.
he don't watch The Little Mermaid.
Is it Float Sam and Jet Sam, Scuttle, or Pinto?
Scuttle?
Pinto beans. Pinto beans.
It's Pinto.
Oh.
All right. It's not Pinto. It's Float Sam and Jet Sam. Okay. All right. Ellen, you have a chance to take the lead. What's the name of Kevin's Home Alone obnoxious brother?
Oh
Is it
my
Buzz,
gosh.
Dave, or Bart?
Why don't you give me these easy ones, man?
Is it easy for Ellen? Ellen, I can't hear you.
Are you on mute, Ellen?
Did I lose you?
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
maybe a little
Come on,
internet
Ellen.
issues there. Let's see.
Try to speak. Try to speak.
Yeah, it looks like her mic is clear.
How about you give a 1, 2, or 3? Give a 1, 2, or 3. 1, 2, or 3.
She
Dave,
said 2.
that is incorrect.
Buzz.
His name is Buzz. All right. All right, last round. What year did the original Transformers release? 2007, 1998, or 2005? This is for Lizzie.
2005.
The original Transformers release. That is incorrect. Oh, what? There's too many wrong answers. Let's continue on. All right. Micah, in The Mask, the main character, Stanley Ipkiss, works as a mechanic, insurance agent, or bank clerk.
I think he's a bank clerk.
I think you're right. That is correct. All right, Micah, you're in the lead. All right, Ellen. In the movie Dirty Dancing, what is the baby's father's profession? Is it lawyer, doctor, or professor?
I have a question. Go back. I have a question.
Number 1, lawyer. That is incorrect. Incorrect. It's a doctor, and that means Micah, you win the game. We're coming back.
Hey, all right.
I mean, I'm fine with Michael winning, but those answers for my question, I don't think were correct. I don't think the options for those answers were correct.
Transformers? So the original Transformers movie is technically the animated one, which came out in 1986. But I think they're talking about the Michael Bay movie, which I think came out in 2007.
See, 2007. See,
You said
see
2005.
but that was the only option available.
No,
didn't
you
make
see,
the
there was 2007, 1998, and 2005. You said 2005.
Mhm.
I don't think. No.
Micah,
That wasn't.
Micah wins.
No. 2007 was not an option. There was
It
not
was.
no. But when I look back, I'm gonna be like, "You're wrong."
All right. Let's see if we get in some shout outs. Ellen, can we hear you? No, we can't hear you still. I don't know what happened. Okay. We'll figure it out. Maybe try to drop and come back real quick. All right, let's get into it. Shout outs. All right, Lizzie, let me start with you.
Here's a quick shout out to one of my dearest friends on the planet, Corbin Ruth. She had a birthday yesterday. We celebrated her birthday in true bar crawl, hopping around DC fashion, and it was all organic. We had a great time. So once again, happy birthday, love. Happy birthday.
All right, Micah.
Shout out to my wife and child who are getting ready to go out for a walk. Shout out to my buddy Jay, who I've been doing a podcast with for a decade. And shout out to y'all. Thank you for having me on here.
Love having you on,
Thanks
buddy.
for being here. Thanks for being here.
All right, Ellen, sounds like we can hear you now. Give me some shout outs.
can?
Yep.
Oh, Man, shout out to all the kids at my school, University of Maryland, who are getting screwed by COVID. Who we should be back online, but we're disadvantaged by when we have to miss class because we're sick or someone else is sick and they haven't built in the infrastructure. So shout out to all my frustrated fellow turf.
All right. And my shout out goes to our friend, Mayor Patrick. He found out last week that for the first time, his campaign for mayor of College Park is going uncontested, which means he's definitely going to be mayor for another couple of years. So congratulations to Mayor Patrick Royan.
Congrats, Mayor Patrick.
And our final shout out goes to the
the
winner.
mayor.
He's the mayor. Our final shout out goes to the winner of our pet shenanigans of the week. And that is Liana Jones with a picture of her puppy lying lying in the space between the couch and an empty dog bed with the caption, when the new bed is definitely not a hit. All right.
Aw, poor sugar.
To see all of the pets or post your favorite pet photos or videos, make sure you join the TLS Pet Shenanigans Facebook group. Find the group quickly by going to mypetshenanigans.com. The photo with the most likes and comments gets a shout out every single week. And that is officially all the time we have for today's show. I'd like to thank all of you for joining us. We hope that you maybe learned something new, gained a new perspective, or even got some things off your chest. We will be back live in full effect next Sunday, October 3rd, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Let you know, reminder, Unscripted is on hiatus for a little bit as they get ready to bring you something new and exciting starting mid-October. So,
October is here, y'all. October is here. Almost. Yes.
And don't forget,
Season.
join us in our TLS Fans Facebook page immediately following the show, TLSFans.com. Go ahead and sign up. We'll go ahead and approve you. And our final thought for the show is going to Micah. Micah's
Come
close
through,
out.
Micah. Come
Close us
through,
out,
Micah.
I'm just going to make it a cheap plug. Go to blackonblackcinema.com to see all of our episodes. Go to thenerdpocalypse.com and go to densepixels.com if you enjoy video games.
Nice.
All right.
Wait. I said dense. What was it saying again?
I was like,
Dense pixels.
Dense pixels.
Make sure I say it right. All right. Thank you so much, Chris Morrissey. Lizzie, thank you. And special thanks to Ellen and Micah for
Thank
guest
you,
hosting
Ellen.
today.
Yes.
Ellen, you
Oh
did
my God.
fantastic.
thank
Micah
you.
always does
Yes.
great.
Bless.
All right, and always, I want to thank our people behind the scene working to bring you an awesome show. We got Gianni, Rob B, Jose, and Olivia E. And most importantly, I got to thank you for watching and listening to our shenanigans each week. And we will see you next time. Don't forget, TLS fans.